when you have an amazing program that will help people, you deserve to get that out into the world. And every day that you're not getting that out in the world and you're not efficiently getting in front of people so that they can choose whether or not to purchase it, you're doing both them and yourself a disservice.
Welcome back to another episode of the Good Enough Mompreneur podcast. I am your host, Angela Mashuli, and I hope you are doing well and your holidays are going well and your family has not had all of the illness that we have had since Thanksgiving. It has been literally terrible, but I think we've turned a corner and I think we're getting better and hopefully getting back on track. But women entrepreneurs who are just doing it like my guests today are so inspiring and helping me go, okay, this is why I do this. This is why I love this podcast. And this is why I love bringing the amazing entrepreneurs who come on this podcast to you. And today's guest is the wonderful Nicki Krawczyk. She brings a wealth of expertise as the visionary creator of Circuit Sales System. She is also a podcast host and CEO of Nicki K Media. And we are going to be diving into the world of online course sales and marketing mastery. So get ready to unlock the secrets of online course success as Nicki shares her insights, strategies, and proven methods for crafting courses that sell. So whether you're a mompreneur or an inspiring online course creator, this episode is a must listen for anyone looking to thrive in the digital landscape. You're also going to learn about just marketing an online business. And there's just so much, even if you're not a course creator, or let's say you're thinking about creating a course, but marketing and sales is very daunting. This is a great conversation for you. So join us as we embark on a journey of business mastery with Nicki Krawczyk, and help me welcome Nicki to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Nicki Krawczyk. I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm honored to have you on as one of the top course creators in the online space. And you're the CEO and founder of Nicki K Media. And I can't wait to just absorb everything that you have to teach us about courses and, you know, building that life that and sharing our gifts and doing what we want to do and not getting tied up in all of the things that aren't important.
Yeah.
So welcome
absolutely.
to the podcast.
Yay, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So why don't you set the stage for us and give us an insight into your background with course creation. And I know you have an exciting system that, you know, really automates and has just revolutionized what you can do with a course. So yeah, set the stage for us.
Yeah. So right now we are a multi-brand training company. So we have a couple of different brands and a couple of different courses, but obviously that's not, don't start with multiple, start with one. But way back in 2012, my background is copywriting. So messaging, I live and die for messaging. And in 2012, I was actually on staff at a company and they needed my help kind of training up a team of copywriters. And the funny thing is you can't major in copywriting in college, which is crazy. So I basically had to kind of put together a training for this team of writers. And after I finished it, I thought, well, gee, I wonder if people out there would find this useful and would pay for this. So I put together a course about training people to become professional copywriters. And Thankfully, it was a good course that that people purchased, and truly, thankfully, they wrote in to let me know that they had gotten work and they'd gotten jobs. And I say thankfully because from like 2012 to 2018, I really I treated it more like a hobby. I kind of would dip into it, and then I would there was a lot of wishing and hoping that it would work. If I just put it out there, people will buy it because it's a good program. As we all know, of course, that's not actually how it works. And then in 2018 was when I went, okay, I've been listening to all of these other people saying, you have to do this, you have to launch, you have to do a free Facebook group. It has to be a membership. It has to be this, it has to be. And I went, all right, I've done all of those things, and none of that is working. None of that is consistent. None of that is helping me meet my goals. So let me take a step back. And in 2018, I went, all right, I know messaging. If there's one thing I know, it is messaging and it's marketing. So let me actually approach this with my messaging and marketing hat on, but also with my customer psychology. And we'll dig into this, of course, but there's so many things that we are taught to do that actually penalize people for having lives, and so many ways that we force people to be on our schedules that it doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
So anyway, I took a step back, and I knew that I didn't want to be doing anything live. I didn't want to do the chaos of live launching. It is risky, and it is unpredictable, and it's intensely hard to build a business if you're live launching. So it also had to be automated. So I took a step back and I put together a whole soup to nuts system. And I implemented that system on my course, the Comprehensive Copywriting Academy, and it worked. Because in 2018, I made $40,000, which was the most I had made thus far. In 2019, I made $268,000. And then in 2020, I made $1.6 million. So I 40x'd my income over the course of just a little over 2 years. And then of course we've grown since then. We've added more brands, but the system that I created, we now call the circuit sales system. And that's the system you mentioned that I now teach other business owners to use to sell their courses. Yeah. So that's me in a nutshell. Yeah.
That sounds like, I think if somebody could get just a portion of that success, they would be over the moon. So
yeah,
there are just so many things going on in my head. And as I shared with you earlier, I've taken some of the popular courses and they just haven't resonated with who I am. It's kind of a cookie cutter approach, and it just didn't really feel authentic. I like the whole live launching thing. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like me. So I can't wait to dive in, but I think one of the big things that people have a hard time with is that they think they can't. Well, number one, I hear this all the time from clients and people that I talk to is there are too many courses. Like, we never say there are too many books in the world. We never say there are too many, there are few things. But they say this, and it's so funny because I think they say that because they have a course in them. So what's your response to that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the first thing to remember is that we're getting fed all of that stuff because of searches that we're doing. If you're thinking yourself, I'd like to do a course about, I don't know, off the top of my head, I'd like to do a course to teach business owners about Pinterest ads management. As soon as you think that, say it and search Pinterest ads management, all of the social media sites and the search sites and all of that, they're going to start feeding all of that to you because you went out there looking for it, and they go, oh, she wants that. She's going to start. So yeah, people say, oh, I was going to do this course, but man, I went into Instagram just looking around for to see my friend's kid's birthday, and I got served like 9 ads for Pinterest ads management course. I guess there's just no room for me. So part of that is our view of the world is distorted by what we're seeing from social media and ads, because they're serving up what they think we want to see. But yes, the thing about business is that there are always going to be competitors. And believe me, I wish there weren't, but there are always going to be competitors. And on one side, it's a good thing, because if there are other people selling these courses, making money on it, there's a demand for it. But also too, you're never going to do something exactly the same way that somebody else does. You're never going to teach something exactly the same way. You're never going to teach exactly the same thing that somebody else does. So it is, yes, it's the elements within your course that will help set you apart, but it's also you and the way that you teach it and the way that you present it that help people to decide between purchasing something from you and purchasing something from someone else. So yeah, the bad news is that there is always going to be competition, but the good news is that there are absolutely ways to differentiate yourself from the competition and help the right audience for you recognize that you are the right person for them.
Yeah, I like to remind myself that there are almost 8 billion people in the world. And we only need a small sliver of that to be wildly successful. So
yeah,
I think that helps. And I'm glad you cleared that up, because, there's competition. I mean, have you seen the bread aisle?
yeah.
I mean,
And the bread companies are doing just fine.
Yeah, the coffee aisle, it's everywhere. But I always tell people that no matter what, there's always space for you. And, your unique abilities are needed, So, okay. So let's say we finally convince ourselves that it's not too saturated. Then we often say, well, I need this huge community to sell to. Do we need a huge community? No. Okay, so tell me more about that.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Do you need people to sell to? Yes, absolutely. But I think when people think about huge communities, they think, oh my gosh, well, I have to first build a massive email list. I have to first build a huge free Facebook group. But the problem is first of all, when you're spending all of that time building these communities and you don't have anything to sell to them, all you're doing is pushing off the time that you have to sell your course. I mean, to build your course, right? You can't do, and this is kind of the perpetual entrepreneur trap, is really like, I'm going to do both at the same time. No, we can't do both at the same time. We're only one person. So if you're spending all this time building your community instead of building your course, you're building this and you have nothing to give them. And the problem then too, is that when you have people on your email list or in your group, as much as you email them and try to keep nurturing them and try to keep them engaged, they're going to get bored. Your list is going to get stale and your group is going to get stale. So that by the time you have something to offer them and you go, hey, it's finally here, most of your email list is probably not even opening your emails anymore. And your group is people that aren't going into your group anymore. So I understand the desire to have like, well, if I have this big audience, then when I finally launch my course, then it's going to be great. They're all going to want to buy. But that's not actually usually how it ends up happening. You want to make sure that you have something to sell people, because the thing is that when people first encounter us, right? When they first follow us or when they first sign up for our email list, that is when they are at their peak level of excitement. They're most interested in us. They're most excited. They're most hopeful about the solution that we have to offer. But the problem with excitement is that it is a chemical state that doesn't last, right? I mean, thank goodness. I don't think our bodies could take it if we were perpetually so excited. But they're at their peak excitement. So what happens after that peak excitement is it just keeps decreasing. The excitement decreases, the motivation decreases, the longer that we don't give them something that solves that desire, because they got on our list or they started following us because they have some need or want that they want met, and they think that we can meet that. So the longer that we have them in our communities without giving them that solution, the more that excitement decreases. So even if you have a big community, if they've been on your list or they've been following you for a while, certainly some people will still purchase, but we have squandered that moment of ultimate ultimate excitement and motivation by not having something to give them at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And I definitely, sometimes I kind of feel, I think everybody listening is probably going, yeah, I felt that, where you, all the things with nurturing a community and, feeling exhausted by that, and then feeling like you need to give them something, but you don't know exactly when that is, or it's still not together, or all of the things.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is too, is that there's so much bad advice in the digital marketing arena, so much bad advice. And you hear this stuff get repeated again and again and again. Right. One of my favorite ones, if we have time to chat about it, is this idea that that when you first encounter someone, you can't ask them for a sale right away, or you can't propose a sale right away. And they say it's like if you just went up to a bar and you were like, hey, you're kind of cute. Do you want to get married? And at first, when you hear that, you're like, oh my gosh, that's true. You would never just go up to someone at a bar and instantly ask them. I guess you have to nurture them. But here's the thing. These people are people who are following us, or people who subscribe to our we're not going up to anybody. If anything, it's us sitting at the bar and someone coming up to us and tapping us on the shoulder and saying, hey, what do you have going on? On top of the fact that nobody making a purchase from us is making a lifetime commitment to us. Right. And thank goodness.
Might be overemphasizing the abilities of your course there.
Exactly. The fact is that the idea is that we have to nurture people. And then once we build that relationship, then only then can we make a sale. But it's not true. You can nurture someone and make a sale at the same time. And that way you can still catch them at that moment of peak excitement. Also still build that know, like, and trust factor, make sure that they see you and understand you as an expert. But it's all of those elements of nurturing that makes it then so much easier to make that sale, and make that sale right away.
I'm so glad you said that, because honestly, all of the mixed messages that we all get about what we should do and not do, and it is really overwhelming. And I think it just leads to a lot of paralysis, or, at worst, and then going down a lot of rabbit holes that are just going to keep us from our ultimate goal that much longer. So, are there any other marketing? What are we getting wrong about how we market our services or our course or anything else?
Yeah, so much.
I know.
So much, unfortunately. Like you're saying, that the thing is that so much of the things that we're taught that you have to do, that are sacred, you have to do this, just don't work regularly. Even just talking about launching in and of itself is a huge topic. But first of all, we're taught, hey, we have to launch. You have to launch. Yes. All of the big names launch. They do 1 or 2 launches a year. And if we all know the big names, so I won't name them, but if they do it, then, well, that's what we have to do too. But here's the thing, that works because they are the big names. If you want to buy a course from so-and-so, and they're not, you can't buy that course for 6 months, then you'll wait, because you want to buy that person's course. But for all of the rest of us who are not the handful of people that are the biggest names in the industry, if someone comes to our email list or comes to us and starts following us when they're at that excitement and they want the solution, and we in turn say to them, well, oh yeah, I'm so excited. Great. Here's an ebook. I have the exact solution you want. Come back in 3 months. What are they going to do? They're not going to come back in 3 months. They're going to go buy from our competition, because they want the solution now. So this idea of making people wait until we can do a live event and it's convenient for us, it doesn't make any sense. People want their solutions when they want it. They don't want to wait for us to be ready to sell it to them. And on top of the fact that live launching is there's no other industry that operates like this, which should be a huge red flag to begin with, right? There's no other industry. Like, does Apple launch a new iPhone? Yes, absolutely. But they don't launch a new iPhone, let you buy it for a week and then go, come back in 6 months. You absolutely cannot buy an iPhone until then. Come back in 6 months. No, there's the initial like, hey, look, I've got something new. But then they give you the opportunities to buy it. So this idea of trying to build a sustainable business on just having your cart open a couple of times a year is it's absurd. When you really think about it, it's absurd. How could you possibly build a business based on that? It's risky, it's unpredictable, it doesn't do our customers any favors at all. And the idea that, oh, well, this is just something that we have, it's like the emperor's new clothes, right? All of a sudden we go, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. The emperor isn't wearing anything at all. This isn't the best way to do it. It's actually quite possibly one of the worst ways to sell our offers.
Yeah, not to mention completely exhausting. So for somebody who's listening who's not sure about what the opposite of launching is, or, what are our options if we don't want to launch or that doesn't feel natural or we don't have time, or so what are our options?
It's a great question, because this is another one of the problems, and where a lot of people kind of hit a brick wall and go, I guess nothing works. I guess I'm just going to go back to launching. Because what we think right now, what so many people think, is if you're not launching, then you're doing evergreen. And the problem with evergreen, the way that most people do it, or the way that I've seen everybody do it, is that it doesn't work. There are really kind of two ways of doing evergreen. One is you put your course up on your site and you let people buy it whenever they want to. And at first you're like, well, that's great, Nicki, that solves the problem we said of forcing people to buy whenever we want them to, 1 week over the course of 6 months. But the problem is that human beings don't take action if we don't have a deadline. If I can buy something at any time, I'm just never going to buy it. There's a reason that every sale has, that every coupon has a deadline, every sale has an end date, all because we need a deadline in order to make the decision and to take action. So this whole, like, just put it up on your site, and people go, oh, that's great, I'm just going to put it up on my site. Oh, nobody's buying, or like, one person a month buys. You can't build a business on one person a month buying. And then on the other side, there's this idea of like, oh, well, you just an automated evergreen funnel. And the problem with these is that they're bad. They're just really poorly put together. We send people to an automated webinar, and the automated webinar teaches a whole bunch of stuff. And then they have the opportunity to buy. And then because it's all incredibly low excitement, the messaging is not insightful. It's the somebody taught a webinar template at some point, and we've just been reusing that again. Teach 3 things, give them a little win, and then when they have the little win, they're going to make a big purchase. And none of this works. So you end up with, you have an automated email, an automated evergreen funnel, but that doesn't convert either. And then you just kind of dump people onto your list for the next time you do a live launch because your evergreen didn't work. So live launching is too difficult. It's too stressful. It's too unpredictable. Okay, well then I'm going to try evergreen. But you try evergreen and evergreen doesn't work. So then people end up going back to live launching. And a lot of people say, all right, well, I can't do this. I can't make a living at this. I didn't get into business to make myself miserable, 4 weeks out of the year or whatever. And to gamble my revenue on 4 weeks of the year, which again is just, no business would do that. Right. So the good thing is that it doesn't have to be those two, just those two ways. The system that I created, it's what we will say to people is, because it's very hard to say, you get the excitement of live launching, but without the chaos and stress and unpredictability. And you get the automation of evergreen, but you get high conversions. And so people are kind of like, well, the closest approximation I can say is it's kind of like evergreen, except that it actually works. Because we don't teach because that doesn't work. We don't send them through a sequence and then dump them onto our list. We call it a circuit because it's a closed loop. If many people will, because of the way we structure it, many people will purchase right away. But if they don't purchase, if it's just genuinely not the right time for them, because that certainly happens, they then enter into an automated closed loop of purchasing opportunities, and then they will exit that. I mean, obviously if they unsubscribe, they can exit. In that case, best of luck to them, but they will stay in there until they purchase. But the thing is, this is all automated. So once it's built, all you have to think about is just getting people into the circuit, and it does all of the selling for you. Yeah.
I love that. It sounds amazing. So tell us about your circuit program and like, what is it that differentiates itself from other courses that might just teach you how to create a course and like maybe a few ways to sell it. And I really love that you emphasize not just teaching, but having breakthroughs with your students.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. So, and I will say too, our course our system is really about the sales. So it is best if you have your course. You don't necessarily have to have it completely finished. We do have a lot of students that come into and say, "Oh my gosh, I wish I'd done this before I finished my course because there are things I want to change now based on the things that I've learned." But we are definitely focused on the sales versus the course building itself. Who knows? Maybe there'll be something we add in the future. But some of the things that make it different is I'm a copywriter, right? That's my background. So I couldn't take out messaging if I tried. But the thing is that the way that I'm teaching it, we really get into effective messaging, not the kind of messaging that most people are teaching, which is very cookie cutter, just use this template and it will work for all of your audiences. No, of course it won't work for your audience. Your audience is going to be different than somebody else's audience, and their needs and desires are going to be very, very different. But one of the things that you mentioned, that one of the biggest mistakes that we have been taught among many, clearly, in digital marketing is that if you just teach, if you just give your best stuff away, if you just teach like crazy, people will purchase. And that's not true. And we want to believe it because it's so easy for us to teach, right? We created a course because we can teach. We can teach our stuff all day long. But that's not, teaching is very different from marketing. Teaching is about, here's how to do things. Marketing is about showing people what they need and reminding them of their needs and reminding them of what the transformation will be, what they're going to get out of this. And the problem with teaching too is that while it's important, but learning is fundamentally a draining experience, right? Like, you remember going to school as a little kid. It's not like you got out of school and you're like, yeah, well, I mean, you might get out of school and be like, yeah, run around the playground. But it's because all day long, it was just, and even in college, when you get to choose your own courses, it's still like, and even as business owners now, I mean, we all buy courses, right? There's always new stuff to learn, but we all buy courses, and everyone, I mean, maybe not every one of us, there are some people that just dive right in, but the vast majority of us buy the course and then have to like put time on our Google calendars to actually go through it, right? Because we bought it. We're like, yeah, we bought the course. Oh, now I actually have to. You go, okay, I think I can sit through 15 minutes of learning because it's a draining experience. And so what we're doing when we try to teach people in our webinars and teach people in our emails, what we're doing is we're taking this excitement, right? And we're sucking that excitement away by making people learn.
Uh-huh.
And this idea of like, well, if you give them a little win, then they're going to purchase for the big win. It's not how it works. I mean, yes, again, there are always exceptions, but you give people a little win. Most people either go, okay, I have this little win. I have to make the most of this little win before I even think about purchasing this bigger course, because they have this little win. So now I'm going to work with this. Or they go, oh, I have this little win. Okay, I understand this. So you know what? I could probably figure out all the rest of it myself because now I have this little win. So the teaching just dissuades people from purchasing. It sucks away that energy. But what keeps that energy up and what gives them hope for that transformation and hope for the solution is instead of teaching is giving people breakthroughs. Because the thing is that everybody who's on your email list has in one way, shape or another has tried to find some kind of solution, right? There's nobody who's like, I have no experience with this whatsoever. They've tried to find some kind of solution on their own. Maybe they've taken another course. Maybe they've Googled it. Maybe who knows? Maybe they've listened to their cousin Bob, whatever. They've tried to do something on their own and something has gotten in the way. And generally it's a lot like we're talking about in digital marketing. It's generally really bad advice and really prevalent advice. So when you come in and instead of teaching, you come in and say, hey, look, you have probably been told that XYZ, insert really prevalent piece of advice, but that's not true. In fact, what's actually true is this, and here's why it's true. So what you're doing, first of all, is you're validating the fact that of course they weren't successful. How could they have been successful trying to follow this bad piece of advice, which is a really good feeling for someone in our audiences who have struggled and couldn't figure out they might be beating themselves up because they haven't been able to make it work for themselves. It is a really nice way to start building that relationship between the two of you. But then also when you show them why what they've been trying to do doesn't actually work and why something else will work, first of all, it's hope, right? Like, oh, I was worried that I would never be able to make this transformation happen. Oh my God, maybe this is possible for me. And then two, when you explain to them why it works, and we're not talking about how, you're telling them the what, not the how. They're going to buy your course for the how. But when you tell them the what it is that actually works and why it works, then they are also immediately starting to think of you as an expert. And then as you do that a couple more times through, obviously mixed in with all kinds of other techniques, but in your videos, in your emails, all that kind of, it gets people very, very bought into you as the expert, your way of doing things. They believe you. They believe that that the transformation is possible for you, for them, and they purchase.
Yeah, I think there is so much psychology in making it work. So when do you think, so first I'm curious about how your program works. Is it self-paced or do you work with somebody? Do you have coaches that work with students or you do that?
Yeah, it's self-paced and people get lifetime access to the program. We have always people saying, oh, I've done this. Now that I've done this for this course, I'm going to do this for this course and this. So it's self-paced. And then people get 6 months access to our Facebook group and also to our twice monthly, so every other week, coaching calls. And then, yes, because people are going to have questions that it's just easier to ask them. When we also talk through strategy on the calls, we talk through pricing, all that kind of stuff. And in the Facebook group, I have copywriters that I have handpicked from the copywriters that I have trained out of the 10,000 copywriters that we've trained, and my other brand, my first brand, that have been in our next level mastermind, and they have been trained on the circuit sales system. And so I have them as well, myself as well, in the Facebook group every day, Monday through Friday, giving feedback on the things that people are posting, like, oh, I was thinking about saying this way, or how does this sound if I do this for this email or this part of the video or whatever. So they're getting live feedback, not live, but if they happen to be at the same time, but they're getting daily feedback from copywriting professionals, and not just professionals, but people who have also been trained in the circuit sales system way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that sounds awesome, because I think people want to be able to do things on their own time, but also, they need that backup and they need that extra support. And so that sounds like a great solution to that. Does this apply to any course that you would want to create?
Yeah. Yeah, it's we say that it works for any course. It works for really any group program, any topic. And we actually even have some one-to-one service providers who use their circuit to kind of fill their one-to-one roster. But yeah, absolutely. There's really no, and actually we even have a student in there who is doing it she's doing it for her own business, but she also works for a large corporation, and she's doing it for the large corporations, B2B, very complicated, I won't get into it, but their B2B service. So she's kind of, there are a few changes that you want to make when you're doing B2B at a corporate level, but she's using that system to then sell their services. And of course, we're giving her feedback on that in the group as well. But yeah.
And I've seen some of the testimonials from your students. It's like really exciting. It's just,
yeah, it's really cool. We had, we did a podcast interview a couple of weeks ago now, with one of our students, Kendra, and I'd seen what she'd posted in the group, and I said, "Oh, let's hop on and let's just talk." And she said that she had a course that she had created, and she had just kind of put it on the site, and once every couple of months somebody would purchase it, but it was a good course. She knew it was a good course, so she created the circuit for it, her circuit for it, and she didn't run ads, didn't really promote it, and in a matter of a couple of months, she'd made, I want to say it was like 2 months, maybe 3 months, she made $35,000. Like, just didn't even promote it, but because it was there, and because it was a great course, and because she used the circuit, she was like, without ads. Yeah. And I will say that ads are always a great idea to increase, certainly. But yeah, she got organic traffic to the site, and people opted in, and she was like, I was sitting in Italy and looking at all of these notifications. I was on vacation that people were buying. But that's how it should be, right? Is that none of us got into business to be stuck at our desk all day long, or to be stuck with, I was talking to one of our students, and, saying, what made you, 'cause it's always important to do market research. And I said, what made you decide to purchase? She said, well, live launching, all the stuff that we've been talking about, live launching, unpredictable. She said, but also the last time I live launched, she said, I usually live launch right here from my kitchen. And she said, but the last time I had to do, and I live launch once a quarter, which is, often when many people do. And she said, that week, my entire family got a stomach virus. She said, myself included. She said, but so I had my children in another room throwing up and feeling terrible. She said, and I had to be in front of my computer, because if I didn't, I would have lost out on income for 3 months. And she said, that was the breaking point for me. That was, nobody should have to decide between being live and selling, like taking care of your sick children. That shouldn't have to be how it is. And we should be allowed more flexibility in our businesses. None of us got into business to have less flexible lives, and to have more stress and more unpredictability. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Right. And this show is all about helping moms not have to make those trade-offs.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Because I think you should be able to show up and be a parent when you need and how you want to. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to make those trade-offs, and I love showing moms that there is a way not to have to do that. So if there is something that we can take away from your experience in messaging, how can we dial in our messaging? Like, when is it that your students, like, the lights go on and realize that their messaging, I know it's very complicated and you've taught a course, but if there was like a way to give us a mindset shift on how we
Mhm.
create our copy and our messaging, what would that be?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do want to say too, I know that sometimes I'll talk to business owners and they're like, oh, I don't like writing. I don't like figuring out my messaging. I
Right.
know so many of us leave it till the last thing when it's
Yeah.
the most important part of our business. Um, so we do take people through it step by step. And again, you get
Mhm.
back from professional copywriters. But one of the first things that I have students do is to do market research calls. And I
Mhm.
always warn them in the group and warn them in the course, like, I
Mhm.
know you're going to want to skip this. Do not skip this. Be the
Yeah.
good business owner. Cross every T, dot every I. Do not skip this. Because here's the thing. A lot of us started businesses because we are solving a problem that either we had or that someone that we knew had or something that we have
Mhm.
some expertise in. So when we get to the point of selling our businesses and excuse me, selling our courses
Mhm.
and messaging, we think, oh, I know what my target audience says. Like I was
Mhm.
my target audience, or
Mhm.
I know exactly what they need to hear. I know all of that.
Mhm.
But that's not true because
Mhm.
you're not the same person that you were
Mhm.
when you had that problem. You're a different person. You have
Mhm.
experienced that transformation. You've experienced all those years of learning. Your mind is working in a different way. You're using different words. You have a totally different perspective. So
Mhm.
if you are trying to create your messaging and you're thinking, no, I know what they're thinking. I know what they're saying, what they need to hear. And I
Mhm.
say this with so much love and so much support. But if that's what you're thinking,
Mhm.
you're wrong. You may have some wording right, and you may have, but I guarantee that there
Mhm.
are things that your audience is thinking, things that your audience is saying, things that maybe they kind of keep to themselves and they don't
Mhm.
always open up about, that you need to know and you
Mhm.
need to include in your messaging, and you don't know that yet. So it's really understanding what your audience is going through. You're not your target audience anymore, and that's okay. We've
Mhm.
all we grow
Mhm.
and change, and
Mhm.
but you do need to know what they are
Mhm.
actually thinking and
Mhm.
saying, and what they're afraid of, and what they want, and all of those different intricacies, so that you can include that in your messaging and connect with them, so that when they read your messaging, they go, oh my gosh, wow, this person gets me. Wow,
Mhm.
that's okay. And they're that much more bought into you and the solution that you are offering them. Oh.
Mhm. That sounds like a really scary.
You mean the actual
You know
talking
what
to
I mean?
people?
It's like I would imagine, I mean, I'm not necessarily afraid of doing that, but I imagine somebody who doesn't talk to people as much as you and I do would be
Mhm.
really afraid of that. Is there anything that you could say to them to encourage them to get over that fear? Because
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I get that. And part one, I know some people would be like, I'm just going to send out a survey instead. No, I
Google
can't do
form.
that. Exactly. Like, oh, then I'll find it. No, because people don't open up in the same way as they do in a
Mhm.
form. They're gonna fill it out as quickly as they can, if they fill it out at all. But when
Mhm.
you're on a call with someone and you
Yeah.
get the opportunity to have a conversation with them, that's when they're going to reveal what
Mhm.
actually is what they're really thinking. Uh, I use this example because I was working with a company that had a health course, and and they would ask people, say, oh, what makes you interested in losing weight and getting in shape now, right? And anybody that surface level is going to go, well, it just seemed like about time to take my health seriously. Of course, right?
Mhm.
That's what we're all going to say, especially to a stranger.
Mhm.
The more you keep talking to them and the more that they
Mhm.
get comfortable with you and they start answering more of the questions, that's when you get the kind of real, like next month I'm going to my 25th high school reunion and my ex-husband is going to be there with his new wife. And if she looks better than I do, I'm going to go crazy. That's when you're getting the real answer. And
Mhm.
you can't get that. You're not going to get that through a form. You have to
Yeah.
get that through having a conversation.
Mhm.
So first of all, there are questions that you can ask and just go down the list. And yes, sometimes you'll want to say, oh, okay, so tell me a little bit more about that. And okay, and why is that important to you? Great. And why is that important to you? So there you'll absolutely go into it with a script. So it's not like you have to kind of go, what do I ask them next? You'll have questions to ask. But the thing to remember too is that often people feel flattered to get on these calls with us. We sit at our desk every day and we think, oh, I'm just, building my business. But the people who follow you and the people who are on your email list think of you as a guide, as someone maybe not important, but kind of important, right? I don't want to overstate our positions, but at the same time too, I don't want any of us to understate how people think about us. They do. There is a specialness conferred maybe by being the people that send the emails and post on Instagram and whatever. So it's for a lot of people, it's kind of an honor to be asked for us to talk to them and to be asked about their opinion and to be asked about their experience and for someone to genuinely listen and care about what they have to say. I think it's so easy for us to make things about ourselves, right? Especially when it's something that we're uncomfortable doing. Oh, I don't want to get on the call. Oh, I'm going to be so uncomfortable. It's going to be so weird for me. It's good. But remember that what's going to happen on this call. You're getting on this call with someone who has only ever seen you from afar, maybe has seen your post, reads your emails, and they're excited to have this interaction with you. And when you make this interaction, this call about them, and about learning about them and about learning about their struggles and what they want and really focusing on them, and not just focusing on them for them, but also so that you can help all of the other people, because the more we sell, the more people we help with these things that we create, right? So the better we can get at selling and being effective at it and connecting with people, the more we can sell and the more people we can help. And that's what these calls are really about. And what the whole program really is about is getting better at connecting people and helping them understand that we really do have the solution for them.
Yeah. And I think too, just not thinking that at the time of the call, you have to have all the solutions. You're just listening.
Exactly. It's not a sales call. You're looking to have a conversation. Exactly.
And like you said, and making it all about them. And really, people love to talk about their story, and chances are you're going to be interested in it. I mean, this podcast, I thought nobody would ever want to talk to me. And now I'm recording videos into 2024. So, I mean, there are people that definitely want to share their story and what's going on with them. So I love that. So, you also talk about there are proven ways to make sales daily, and that's like a dream of ours. So I don't know if you have any insight into that too. I know people have these brick walls about sales, and we're coming to the end of our time, but do you have any insight for that? Because I think too, people don't even think that's possible at some point,
Yeah. And believe me, I still think back to when wow, I got a sale overnight. I woke up this morning and there was a sale, and then there was another sale. And then, wow, I remember the first month that I got 3 sales in one day. And then at one point on the copywriting course, we got up to 19 sales a day once. And that is not an inexpensive course. It's reasonable, but not inexpensive. The thing is, like I was saying, we get uncomfortable with the idea of selling and asking for money for these things that we have created. But what we're really offering is we're offering solutions to people. That's all we're doing. People have a problem. They don't get on our email list because we coerce them, or they don't start following us on social media because we're twisting their arm. They join our email list, or they start following us on social media or whatever. They start listening to our podcast because we have the solution to the problem that they have. It's a want or a need of some sort, and they're looking for that solution. And any time that we spend not offering that solution is doing them a disservice, and certainly a disservice to our business as well. But the longer that we make them wait for that solution, the more of a disservice we're doing to them. We have a lot of coaches in our programs, and coaches who are offering truly life-changing programs. And the idea of making people wait 4 months or whatever for their next live launch, it's antithetical to everything that they do. But even if it's Pinterest ads management, if a company needs Pinterest ads management, they need it now. They need that solution. They're looking for a new pathway to getting leads into their course, and they need it now. And we have gotten into business to help people. And the way that we do that is we put together a really fantastic course and we make it available for them to purchase. And hey, we're also not twisting anybody's arm to purchase. If they don't want to purchase, that's fine. But it's also our job to use our messaging to make it very, very clear exactly why our programs are so good and exactly what that transformation they will experience is. Because if we don't make that clear, then people aren't going to purchase and they're going to miss out on that transformation. We're in business to make money and to support ourselves and certainly, and all for making money. Let's all make lots and lots of money. But at the same time too, we're also in it to help people, and selling is how we help people.
Right. And like you said before, when it's about the call, we make it about ourselves. When it's about the course, we make it about ourselves, and it's really not. And that can just take so much pressure off. And it's one of the tips I give clients, if you want to feel less nervous in your business, just don't make it about yourself. It's about your service to somebody else. But what I love about, what your students are saying is you also help them understand that they've been undervaluing what they're doing.
Yes.
Which I think we are all guilty of at one point or another. So, I love that you're not only giving people this way to share their gifts that fits their lifestyle and their life, but helps them understand their worth as well. That's so powerful. So if there was like one thing that somebody took away from our conversation today, if they just like remembered one thing, what would you want that to be?
I would say that just because everybody else is doing it or says that you have to do it, or they say they're doing it, doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. If you're struggling with live launching, and quite frankly, most people are, and if you are not if Evergreen isn't working, those aren't your only two options. And when you have an amazing program that will help people, you deserve to get that out into the world. And every day that you're not getting that out in the world, and you're not efficiently getting in front of people so that they can choose whether or not to purchase it, you're doing both them and yourself a disservice.
Yeah, and we just lose sight of that so much and just get wrapped up in our own mind drama.
Yes. Well, this coach says I have to do it this way, and this coach says I have to do it this way, and everybody says you have to do this. Yes, it's an echo chamber, but that's part of my mission is to bust through all of that and to go this. But listen to this. This doesn't actually make any sense. Like, actually, just listen to this.
Yeah, I love that. You've noticed this gap in the market and you're like, hello, over here. So if somebody wants to connect with you, which I recommend that they do, you've got so many great tips, and, so where can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. They can find us on socials at Circuit Sales System, and certainly at circuitsalessystem.com. But if they're thinking, ooh, I want to learn more about this and I want to learn more right away, you can opt in for our video at circuitselling.com.
Okay. I love it. I'm going to be checking it out.
Absolutely.
So awesome. Yeah. Cause it's just been a sticking point for me, which is why I really love this conversation. It arrived at the perfect time.
It's a sticking point for so many people. And we all think we're alone, because you see on social media, everybody looks like they're so successful in social media. Right. Everybody's like, no, nobody's alone in this. Yes, live launching can work, but it is a struggle, and it's unpredictable, and it's unnecessary.
Yeah. And as moms, we just don't even have time for that. We
Oh,
just
no.
So I love that. Thank you for your time and sharing all your wisdom. I can't wait to see where this goes. And if you're a listener who connects with Nicki and it works for you, let us know.
Mhm.
Tag us,
Mhm.
let us know because we'd love to hear about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Angela, this was
Awesome.
so much fun. Thank you. Thank you for having me
Yes, it's
on.
awesome. Yep.
Yeah,
I loved our conversation. Thank you so much, Nicki.
me too. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Nicki Krawczyk for being on the podcast and sharing all of your wisdom about online course sales and marketing. Thank you so much. If you would like to reach out to Nicki and find out more about her circuit selling system, be sure to click on the links in the podcast show notes. You can just scroll right down and find those. And as we conclude this enriching episode with Nicki Krawczyk, we hope you're leaving with a newfound sense of inspiration and practical strategies to elevate your mompreneurial journey. Nicki's insights on course sales and daily sales mastery and scaling with purpose provide a roadmap for success in the dynamic intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship. If you feel like course creation is part of your entrepreneurial journey. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this wisdom with fellow mompreneurs. And I want to invite you to check out my new free mini course. I will leave a link in the show notes as well. If you're just finding I would love to create a course, I would love to implement Nicki's strategies for the circuit selling system, but I don't have the confidence. So I have a free mini course that is linked in the show notes that you can check out, 5 Keys to Confidence, that will help you begin to find the confidence to take the next steps towards creating an online course or selling it in the way that you wish you could. So be sure to check that out if that's something that you may be struggling with. And I would love to connect and hear from you. You can visit me at mombusinesscoach.com. So remember, you are enough and your journey is uniquely powerful. And until next time, keep thriving in this beautiful chaos of mompreneurship.